We notice here in verse number 1, the Bible says, "There is therefore now no condemnation." And the first thing I'd like to mention is that the word "therefore" indicates that there is an inference to be made. And the inference that's being made here is not just an inference back to what was said in the previous chapter, in chapter number 7, but it's an inference back to everything that the apostle has said in the first 7 chapters in the book of Romans. This is the legitimate conclusion of everything that Paul has established up until this point, and I realize that we've not taken the time here this evening to read to you the first 7 chapters of the book of Romans, but allow me to give you a brief summary. Paul taught that believers in Jesus Christ will be saved because they're not under the law, but under grace. Paul taught that the gospel of Jesus Christ is the power of God unto salvation. Paul taught that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. He taught that we are justified freely by His grace through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus. He taught in Romans chapter 5, "But God commendeth His love toward us, in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us." Here's the main point that's been established thus far, that believers in Jesus Christ will be saved because they are not under the law, but under grace. So Paul begins chapter 8 with the words, "There is therefore now no condemnation." But even that little word "now" is very significant. Paul's telling the Romans that now, even in their current circumstances that he had previously laid out, that men being sinners cannot justify themselves. That men being sinners will never be able to earn their salvation by their own good works, but only by the obedience of one man, who is Jesus Christ, and not through the law. That now in these circumstances, even in these circumstances, that now there is no condemnation to them who are in Christ Jesus. This state of no condemnation is not describing a temporal state, but it's their permanent position in Christ. The one who believes in Christ is placed beyond the reach of condemnation. This means that the one who believes in Christ will never be condemned. This entire chapter is proof that the believer in Jesus Christ is free from condemnation, and that nothing will ever separate them from the love of God. The believer in Christ is one for whom there is not now, nor will there ever be any condemnation. There is no condemnation in their relationship to Christ. There is no condemnation in their character. Why? Because they are in Christ. I want to read a few verses from Romans chapter 5. Romans chapter 5, beginning in verse number 12.